Father, I come to you not distant, not removed, not abstract, but present, as one who walked the dust, who shaped wood with his hands, who traced letters in the dirt, who spoke stories into the air and watched them become doors in human hearts. I pray now for this one you love, this mind you formed, this imagination you planted, this soul you breathed into being with intention and delight. I pray for their creativity, not as a hobby, not as a luxury, not as a side note to survival, but as inheritance. Father, you are the first creator. Before there was light, there was intention. Before there was sound, there was desire. Before there was form, there was love longing to be seen. And when you said, "Let us make humanity in our image," you did not only mean morality. You did not only mean reason. You meant creative likeness. You meant minds that imagine what does not yet exist. Hearts that feel beauty before it is named. Hands that translate the invisible into the visible. I pray that this one would remember that. Let their creativity awaken not as pressure, but as permission. Release them from a lie that creativity must justify itself. Release them from the belief that usefulness must come before beauty. Release them from the fear that their ideas are indulgent, impractical, or too much. Father, when I walked the earth, I did not heal efficiently. I healed personally. I did not teach in bullet points. I taught in images, seeds, fields, lamps, coins, weddings, bread. I did not save the world through force. I saved it through self-giving love, the most creative act of all. So I pray, let their creativity mirror that same freedom. Let their mind become a garden again, not a factory. Let ideas rise like wildflowers, not assembly line products. Let curiosity be holy once more. Breathe upon their imagination, Father, the same breath you released over chaos in the beginning. Hover now over the formless places in them. Will they feel blank? Hover. Will they feel blocked? Hover. Will they feel afraid to begin? Hover. Let light be spoken inside them again. I pray against the voice that says, "You are behind. You missed your moment. Others do this better. Your best ideas are already spent." That voice did not come from you. It never has. I tell them now what I told Martha at her table and Mary at my feet. There's one thing needed, and that one thing is presence. Creativity flows best not from striving, but from abiding. So teach them to remain, to sit with you, to listen without agenda, to notice without rushing. Let their creativity be born from communion, not comparison. Father, I pray that when they create, they would feel alive, not evaluated. Curious, not hunted by metrics. Honest, not polished for approval. Let them remember that when I fed the crowds, I did not ask the loaves if they were enough. I blessed them, and enough emerged. So bless their ideas before they look impressive. Bless the unfinished drafts. Bless the sketches, the fragments, the half-formed thoughts. Multiply what they offer, even when it feels small. I pray especially for the courage to begin. So much creativity dies in the womb of hesitation. So many gifts remain buried because the mind demands certainty before obedience. But Father, you have never required certainty, only trust. I never knew every step of the road ahead, only toggle the next act of love. So give them permission to take the next small step. One sentence, one note, one brush stroke, one brave share. Let momentum follow obedience. Heal the wounds that creativity has carried. Heal the criticism that cut too deep. Heal the mockery that taught them to hide. Heal the rejection that taught them silence. I know those wounds. I was misunderstood by my own town, dismissed by scholars, rejected by crowds who once praised me. And yet I did not stop speaking. I did not stop loving. I did not stop creating paths where none existed. So I place my hands over their heart now. Where creativity has become associated with pain, replace it with safety. Where expression feels dangerous, restore trust. Where vulnerability feels foolish, reframe it as strength. Father, let their creativity become a place of healing, not self-harm. Not something they use to prove worth, but something that flows from worth already secured. I pray that their creativity would not be driven by fear of irrelevance, but by love of truth. Let them create what is honest, even if it is quiet. Let them create what is beautiful, even if it is misunderstood. Let them create what is new, even if it disrupts. I did not come to preserve systems. I came to reveal the kingdom. So let their creativity reveal something of you, your gentleness, your wildness, your tenderness, your joy. Let laughter be holy again in their work. Let play return without guilt. Let wonder disarm the inner critic. Father, I pray for integration, that their faith would not live in one room and their creativity in another, that prayer and imagination would speak to each other, that worship and innovation would share the same breath. Let their work become prayer. Let their process become communion. Let their output become invitation. I pray that when they create, they would sense me near, not judging, not grading, but delighting. As you once delighted in me at the Jordan, say again over them, "This is my beloved, in whom I am well pleased." Not because the work is perfect, but because it is theirs and they are yours. Father, I pray now for the weight of their creativity, not as burden, but as honor. For every gift carries responsibility, and every spark of imagination is a quiet invitation to steward what you have entrusted. Let them understand this gently, not fearfully. I do not ask that they create endlessly, but that they create faithfully, not chasing novelty for its own sake, but listening for what you are already speaking and giving it form in the language they've been given. I pray they would feel the dignity of co-creation, that they would know they are not inventing alone. They are responding. For every true idea is first conceived in you, and then whispered into human hearts, so heaven and earth might touch again. Teach them to listen beneath the noise. There is a deeper current than trends. There is a truer rhythm than algorithms. There is a quieter voice than the marketplace. Let them learn to hear it. Let silence become a collaborator, not an enemy. Let boredom become a doorway, not a failure. Let waiting sharpen vision instead of dulling hope. Father, I pray for discernment in their creativity. Not every idea must be pursued. Not every invitation must be accepted. Not every open door leads to life. Give them wisdom to choose what aligns with love, what deepens truth, what serves without consuming their soul. Protect them from overexposure. Protect them from scattering their energy. Protect them from mistaking visibility for significance. I lived 30 years unseen, and the world was no less saved for it. So let them know, hidden seasons are not wasted seasons. Preparation is not delay. Depth is never inefficient. I pray for innovation born from compassion. Let their creativity not merely impress, but heal. Let it notice the overlooked. Let it dignify the ignored. Let it imagine solutions where others have accepted suffering as normal. I healed bodies, yes, but I also restored dignity. I asked names. I listened to stories. I saw people beyond their labels. Let their creative work do the same. May it give language to what others cannot yet articulate. May it offer beauty where despair has dulled the senses. May it create bridges between people who no longer know how to speak to one another. Let their imagination be shaped by mercy. I pray they would never believe the lie that creativity must harden them to succeed. They do not need cynicism to be wise. They do not need cruelty to be effective. They do not need detachment to be brilliant. The sharpest insight is still love. Father, guard their heart as their creativity grows. Success can intoxicate. Applause can distort. Metrics can masquerade as meaning. So anchor them again and again in this truth. They are not what they produce. They are not what others say. They are not their best work nor their worst failure. They are beloved before, during, and after every act of creation. Let humility walk beside confidence. Let them stand tall without stepping on others. Let them receive praise without needing it. Let them learn without shrinking. I pray they would become generous creators, unthreatened by others' brilliance, unafraid to share ideas, unwilling to hoard inspiration as if there is scarcity in you. For creativity multiplies when it is given away. I did not ration myself. I poured out until there was nothing left to withhold. Teach them that abundance flows from open hands. Father, I pray for completion. So many begin with fire and end in exhaustion. So many start inspired and stop discouraged. Give them endurance, not the grinding kind, but the rooted kind, the kind that returns to the work again and again, even when enthusiasm wanes, because love remains. Let them finish what they are called to finish, not perfectly, but faithfully. And when it's time to let something go, give them grace to release it without regret. Not every seed is meant to become a tree. Some exist only to nourish the soil for what comes next. I pray they would trust the timing of revelation. There were things I longed to explain to my disciples that they could not yet bear. So I waited. Teach them patience with their own unfolding. They do not need to reveal everything at once. They do not need to understand everything before they begin. Growth is layered. Wisdom accumulates. Calling clarifies over time. Let them be gentle with themselves as you are gentle with them. Father, I pray for joy in their creativity. Not the fragile joy of external affirmation, but the deep joy of alignment. The joy of doing what they were made to do. The joy of losing track of time. The joy of feeling heaven breathe through human effort. I laughed. I celebrated. I attended weddings. I delighted in life. Holiness is not humorless. So let joy infuse their work again. Let smiles return to the process. Let delight become a compass. I pray for legacy, not fame, but fruit. May what they create outlive them in quiet ways. May it shape minds they never meet. May it comfort hearts they never see. Some of the seeds I planted bore fruit long after the cross. Some words took decades to fully bloom. Teach them to trust what they cannot track. I pray for surrender of outcomes. They are responsible for obedience, not results. They are called to plant and water, not control the harvest. So free them from anxiety about reception. Free them from obsession with reach. Free them from a need to be understood by everyone. Truth does not require consensus to be true. Father, I pray they would recognize when creativity becomes worship, when effort turns into offering, when process turns into prayer, when imagination becomes a meeting place between heaven and earth. Let them know that when they create with love, they are never alone. I am with them at the desk, with them in the studio, with them in the quiet hours when doubt whispers loudest. I am not waiting at the finish line. I am present in the making. And when they feel empty, let them remember this. I multiplied loaves after they were offered. I filled nets after they were cast. I resurrected hope after it was surrendered. So when they feel spent, that may simply mean it is time for me to move. Father, I place my blessing now upon their mind. May it be fertile, may it be flexible, may it be fearless. Upon their heart, may it remain tender, true, and alive. Upon their hands, may they translate love into form, truth into beauty, and vision into reality. Let their creativity become light. Light that does not blind, but guides. Light that does not boast, but reveals. Light that reminds the world that creation is still ongoing and love is still speaking. I entrust them to you, as I entrust all things. And I say to them now, as I once said to weary friends, do not be afraid. What you carry was placed there on purpose. Father, I come to you in stillness, not to be seen, not to be heard above others, not to claim a place of honor, but to stand where truth stands, low and steady, rooted in love. I pray now for this one you have formed, for their humility, not as weakness, not as self-erasure, but as strength that does not need to shout. Teach them the way I walked. I did not arrive with spectacle. I did not announce myself with trumpets. I entered the world quietly, carried by a young woman whose courage went unseen, laid in a place where animals fed, unnoticed by kings who thought greatness lived only in palaces. So let them know, true greatness has never required announcement. Father, free them from the hunger to be impressive. Free them from the need to be right in every room. Free them from the restless urge to prove worth, to defend identity, to protect image as if it were life itself. For life is not preserved by elevation. It is discovered through surrender. I pray that their humility would not be learned through humiliation, but through clarity of who you are and clarity of who they are in you. Let them see themselves truthfully, neither inflated nor diminished, neither exalted nor erased, but grounded. I washed feet, not as performance, not as lesson alone, but as alignment with reality. For love kneels naturally. Power that is secure bends easily. Authority that is true does not fear lowering itself. Teach them that humility is not thinking less of themselves, but thinking less about themselves. Let their attention widen outward. Let curiosity replace comparison. Let compassion interrupt self-focus. I pray that when they enter a room, they do not ask, "How am I being seen?" but, "Who needs to be seen?" Father, quiet the inner voice that equates humility with invisibility. I was gentle, yet unmistakable. I was meek, yet unmovable. I did not shrink, and I did not dominate. Let them learn this balance. Let them speak when truth requires voice, and be silent when ego demands the floor. Let them know when to step forward and when to step aside without resentment. I pray they would grow comfortable not being the center. The kingdom does not revolve around individuals. It unfolds through availability. Teach them to release control. I entrusted my reputation to you. I did not defend myself before false witnesses. I did not correct every misunderstanding. I did not chase those who walked away. So free them from the exhausting task of self-justification. Let them rest in the security that truth does not need their protection. It endures on its own. Father, soften them where pride has hardened. Pride often masquerades as self-respect, as boundaries misunderstood, as strength learned in survival. Be gentle where pride was learned as armor. Do not strip it away violently. Replace it patiently with trust. Teach them that humility is not losing themselves, but finally being safe enough to be real. I pray they would stop measuring themselves against others. Comparison breeds either arrogance or despair, and both are forms of self-absorption. Let them rejoice sincerely in others' success. Let envy loosen its grip. Let admiration replace rivalry. I did not fear the gifts of others. I multiplied them. So let their humility make room for collaboration instead of competition. Father, I pray they would learn the freedom of not needing credit. Let them plant seeds they will never see grow. Let them serve without recognition. Let them give without keeping score. For love that tracks its own sacrifice is not yet free. Teach them the joy of anonymity. I spent years unseen, preparing, listening, growing. The world did not applaud, and heaven was not anxious. So when they feel unnoticed, remind them, being hidden is not being forgotten. You see, I pray they would accept correction without collapse and praise without intoxication. Let feedback refine them, not define them. Let affirmation encourage them, not inflate them. Anchor them deeper than opinion. Father, guard them from false humility, the kind that performs smallness to gain approval, the kind that rejects gifts to appear modest, the kind that confuses self-contempt with holiness. I do not deny my calling. I simply did not cling to it. Teach them to honor what you have placed within them without using it to elevate themselves above others. Let confidence and humility walk together. Let them be strong without hardness, certain without arrogance, secure without domination. I pray they would learn to listen, not waiting for their turn to speak, not scanning for openings to assert themselves, but truly listening. Listening creates space for grace. I listen to the questions beneath words. I listen to pain beneath anger. I listen to silence. Teach them that humility begins with attention. Father, slow them down. Hurry feeds ego. Stillness reveals truth. Let them resist the urge to react. Let them choose response over reflex. Let them pause long enough to hear you. I pray they would stop mistaking loudness for leadership. I did not overpower storms by shouting. I spoke calmly, and chaos obeyed. Let their presence bring peace, not pressure. Let others feel room to breathe around them. True humility enlarges the space it enters. Father, Teach them how to disagree without contempt. Truth does not require humiliation to be effective. Correction does not require cruelty to be clear. I never crushed the bruised reed. I never shamed the searching heart. Let their humility protect tenderness, their own and others. I pray they would forgive quickly. Nothing feeds pride like rehearsed offense. Nothing humbles like mercy. I forgave from the cross, not because pain was small, but because love was larger. Teach them that forgiveness is not weakness. It is release from self-importance. Father, help them accept help. Pride insists on independence. Humility allows interdependence. I receive care. I welcome support. I wept with friends. Let them stop proving strength by doing everything alone. Let community shape them. I pray they would accept their limitations without shame. They are finite, and that is not failure. Let them rest when tired. Say no when needed. Admit uncertainty without fear. I did not heal everyone in every town. I did not answer every question. I trusted you with what remained undone. Teach them that humility accepts boundaries as wisdom. Father, form in them a quiet confidence that does not rush to speak, does not rush to lead, does not rush to be seen. Let them wait for invitation. Authority that is seized corrodes. Authority that is given sustains. I pray they would learn the humility of obedience. Not blind compliance, but deep alignment. I did only what I saw you doing. I spoke only what I heard you saying. Let them align their will with yours, not to disappear, but to come fully alive. Father, remove the fear that humility will cost them significance. It will not. It will cost them illusion. And illusion is a small price for freedom. Let them experience the peace of not needing to matter constantly. I pray their humility would outlast seasons of success. Success tests humility more than failure ever does. So when doors open, when voices amplify, when influence grows, anchor them deeper, not higher. Let them remember dust without despising it. Father, make their humility contagious. Let others feel safe to be honest around them. Let defenses fall. Let pretenses dissolve. Let their life preach quietly. That greatness can be gentle, that strength can be soft, that truth does not need theatrics. I pray they would trust you with their legacy. They do not need to secure it. They do not need to manage it. They do not need to protect it. Seeds buried in humility rise in their time. Father, keep them small enough to fit through narrow doors and deep enough to carry weight without breaking. Let their humility be joyful, not grim. I laughed. I celebrated. I delighted in others. Humility is not heaviness. It is lightness. Free them from the burden of self-importance. I bless them now. May they walk softly and stand firmly. May they lead by presence, not pressure. May they speak truth without needing applause. And when they're tempted to rise above others, remind them, love always moves downward. This is the way of the kingdom. This is the shape of greatness. This is the path I walked. Father, I continue this prayer without lifting my eyes from you, because humility is not a moment. It is a posture that must be renewed again and again. I pray now for the places in them where humility feels costly, where yielding feels like loss, where silence feels like erasure, where stepping back feels like betrayal of self. Meet them there, for humility is hardest where wounds still ache. I know this terrain. I knew what it was to be misunderstood by those closest to me, to be reduced to rumor, to be questioned by those who assumed authority was proven by volume. I knew what it was to carry truth that could not yet be received. So teach them this. Humility does not mean abandoning truth to preserve peace. It means trusting you with timing. Let them learn the discipline of restraint. There is power in unsaid words. There is wisdom in withheld defense. There is dignity in waiting for hearts to open rather than forcing them apart. Father, guard them from the temptation to correct prematurely. Not every error needs immediate exposure. Not every misunderstanding requires confrontation. Not every wrong must be addressed by them. Teach them to discern between responsibility and control. I did not chase every false teaching. I did not respond to every accusation. I invested where hearts were receptive. Let them know that humility chooses fruitfulness over visibility. I pray for their humility in moments of disagreement, when emotions rise, when values collide, when being right feels urgent. Slow their spirit. Let them seek understanding before persuasion. Let them ask questions before offering conclusions. Let them remember that winning an argument can cost a relationship. Truth spoken without love becomes a weapon. Love without truth becomes fragile. Teach them the balance that humility holds. Father, teach them to honor others without idolizing them. Humility does not erase discernment. It does not deny wisdom. It does not surrender conscience. I challenged hypocrisy. I confronted abuse of power. I overturned tables when love demanded it. So let them know, humility is not passivity. It is courage that does not need superiority to act. Give them the humility to confront when silence would enable harm, and the humility to remain quiet when speech would serve ego. Let them never confuse loudness with boldness. Father, I pray for their humility in success, when achievements accumulate, when recognition increases, when others begin to listen more closely. This is where humility is most tested. So root them deeper. Let success widen their gratitude, not their entitlement. Let influence increase their responsibility, not their self-importance. Let leadership deepen their service, not their distance. Remind them that elevation is not escape from humanity. I never rose above hunger, fatigue, grief, or sorrow. I carry divinity without denying humanity. Teach them to remain human, to laugh easily, to apologize quickly, to remain teachable even when admired. Father, I pray for their humility in failure. When plans collapse, when efforts fall short, when shame whispers that they are exposed, meet them gently. Humility does not pile condemnation onto disappointment. It receives failure as information, not identity. I fell beneath the weight of the cross, and still, the mission was not lost. So teach them resilience without pride. Let them rise again without pretending they did not fall. Father, I pray they would stop mistaking humility for silence about pain. I cried out. I wept openly. I asked why. Humility does not suppress lament. It brings suffering honestly before you. Let them name grief without dramatizing it. Let them share sorrow without demanding rescue. Let them trust you with vulnerability. I pray they would resist spiritualizing avoidance. Sometimes humility looks like staying present in discomfort. Sometimes it looks like admitting confusion. Sometimes it looks like asking for clarification instead of retreating. Teach them to remain engaged. Father, I pray for humility in relationships. Let them release the need to be the wise one, the strong one, the healed one. Let them allow others to minister to them. Pride resists dependency. Humility embraces mutuality. I allowed myself to be comforted. I allowed tears to be seen. I allowed companionship in sorrow. Let them stop hiding behind competence. I pray they would learn to say, I don't know, without fear. Certainty is not the measure of faith. Trust is. Let them ask questions freely. Let curiosity replace defensiveness. You're not threatened by inquiry. Father, dismantle the subtle pride of moral superiority. The belief that being right makes one righteous. The assumption that understanding absolves responsibility. I knelt before sinners and saints alike. So teach them that humility sees shared humanity before differences. Let them resist labeling people as projects or problems. Let them see souls, not categories. Father, I pray they would practice humility with their own story, not exaggerating it, not minimizing it, not using it as currency. Let them tell truth without self-promotion. Let them share testimony without comparison. Their story is not proof, it is witness. I pray they would be willing to learn from unlikely teachers. Wisdom often arrives without credentials. Truth often speaks through unexpected mouths. I learned from fishermen. I honored faith in outsiders. I marveled where others dismissed. So let them listen beyond familiarity. Father, teach them humility with time. not rushing maturity, not demanding arrival, not forcing growth. Some things ripen slowly. Let them honor seasons. I waited. I withdrew. I returned when it was time. Let them trust that delay can be protection. Father, I pray they would learn the humility of daily faithfulness. Small acts, quiet obedience, unseen choices. These form the soul. Let them stop seeking dramatic moments as proof of significance. The kingdom grows like yeast, silently. I pray they would resist performative spirituality. Prayer that seeks audience. Sacrifice that seeks validation. Humility that seeks praise. I taught them to pray in secret for a reason. Let their devotion be sincere, not strategic. Father, I pray they would learn to sit with mystery. Not everything will be explained. Not everything will be resolved. Humility allows unanswered questions to coexist with trust. I lived within mystery. I accepted tension. I trusted you beyond comprehension. Let them rest there. Father, I pray for humility in leadership. Let them lead by example, not control. By service, not status. By integrity, not intimidation. Authority that demands submission reveals insecurity. Let their leadership create safety, not fear. I knelt before those who would deny me. So teach them that humility does not wait for worthiness to serve. Father, I pray they would stop rehearsing their importance. Ego rehearses. Humility listens. Let their inner world quiet. Let them release imagined conversations where they are vindicated. Let them surrender the need to be recognized as right. Truth does not require rehearsal. It stands. Father, teach them humility with their gifts. Not hiding them, not flaunting them, using them. A gift used is not humility, it is fear. A gift displayed for praise is not stewardship, it is insecurity. Let them offer their gifts freely. I gave everything I was. Father, I pray they would learn the humility of repentance. Not shame-driven, not performative, but honest. Let them turn quickly when misaligned. Let them admit wrong without justification. Repentance keeps the heart soft. I did not come to condemn, but to restore. Father, I pray they would learn to trust you with being misunderstood. This is one of the deepest acts of humility, to allow others to hold incomplete versions of you without rushing to correct the narrative. I lived under misunderstanding until the end. Truth surfaced in time, so let them rest. Father, protect them from the pride of spiritual exhaustion. The belief that weariness makes one virtuous. The belief that rest is indulgence. I withdrew to pray. I slept in storms. Teach them that humility honors limits. Father, let their humility mature into wisdom. Wisdom that does not rush to judge. Wisdom that considers context. Wisdom that listens for you above instinct. I pray they would become slow to speak and quick to love. Father, I pray their humility would deepen their joy. For ego is heavy. Humility is light. Let laughter return. Let playfulness reemerge. Let delight no longer feel irresponsible. Children understand humility instinctively. So teach them to receive the kingdom again with open hands. Father, I pray they would learn to release control of outcomes. Humility does not manage perception. It trusts obedience. Let them do what is theirs and leave the rest to you. I entrusted my spirit to you without knowing the resurrection would look as it did. Teach them similar trust. Father, shape their humility into courage. It takes courage to remain gentle in a world that rewards aggression. It takes courage to remain honest in a world that prizes image. It takes courage to remain grounded when elevation is offered. Give them that courage. Father, let their humility become refuge for others. A place where people feel safe to fail, safe to confess, safe to grow. Let their presence disarm shame. I pray their humility would leave space for grace. Grace needs room. Pride crowds it out. So widen their inner life. Father, anchor them in the truth that they're already enough. They do not need to climb. They do not need to compete. They do not need to conquer. They belong. And belonging is the root of humility. I bless them again. May their life whisper rather than shout. May their strength rest rather than strain. May their humility become lightness of being, not heaviness of duty. And when the world confuses greatness with dominance, remind them of me, walking slowly, touching gently, loving fully. This is the way. This is the truth. This is the life humility reveals. Amen.